sit down. 1, 2, 3. Mirror, mirror on the wall, am I the...
The sky over Houston was a canvas of bruised clouds, heavy and swollen with the promise of violence. A storm front, vast and unforgiving, rolled in from the south, turning the afternoon to a charcoal dusk. Liam Michaels stood in the eye of its gathering fury, watching as lightning tore jagged holes through the darkening sky. He was a creature of a similar storm, dressed in a cold black coat and tactical boots, carrying a weight that no thunder could ever drown out. "It's time," Liam whispered to the howling wind. He turned toward the trunk of a borrowed Camaro, where the metal groaned under the pressure of the gale. Inside lay his quarry, bound and gagged. With a single-handed grip on the man's ankles, Liam hauled the body out into the rain. The victim slammed against the gravel, a pathetic sound of fear muffled by the storm's roar. Liam didn't flinch. He simply began the long walk toward the looming shadow of a dilapidated warehouse. The warehouse doors groaned open and then slammed shut with the finality of a tomb. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of oil and old regrets. Gabriel lay on the frigid concrete, his mind a frantic jumble of what-ifs. A red drawstring bag was cinched over his head, the coarse fabric scratching his skin as he shivered. He was a broken man already, paralyzed by the cold realization that the past had finally caught up to him in this hollow, lightless place. Liam's inner demons began to sing a song of righteous fury. He stood over the trembling man, his every move deliberate. This was the work he was born for, the reckoning for a life of sins. Without a word of warning, Liam planted his foot and drove his heavy boot into Gabriel's knee. A sickening crack echoed through the cavernous space, a sound more piercing than the thunder outside. It was the first note in a symphony of vengeance. Gabriel's muffled scream was a hellish sound that clawed at the walls. Liam leaned down, ripping the red bag from his victim's head and tearing the duct tape from his mouth with a brutal tug. Gabriel's face was a mask of agony and terror, his eyes darting around the shadows for an escape that didn't exist. He gasped for air, his voice a broken whimper as he looked up at the man who held his life in a pair of calloused hands. Liam ignored the pleas. He walked to a nearby desk and pulled out a squealing swivel chair, placing it just feet away from his captive. From his belt, he drew a 6-inch Vanguard knife, its blade polished to a mirror finish. He sat, reclining into the shadows, the silver of the blade catching a stray beam of light. To him, this wasn't just a kidnapping, it was a formal hearing, and he was the judge, the jury, and the executioner. "Tonight, the truth comes out," Liam said, his voice cold and flat as stone, "and unfortunately for you, it will not set you free." He leaned forward, the light finally hitting his face, revealing eyes that had seen too much darkness to ever believe in mercy. He demanded a confession, a listing of every sin Gabriel had ever committed, while the rain began to leak through the warehouse roof, tapping out a steady, rhythmic count toward the end. Gabriel looked up, squinting as a single shaft of light from a hole in the ceiling illuminated him like a stage performer. Droplets of rain fell on his face, mixing with his tears. He tried to claim he was a good man, a man who had done his best, but the lie tasted like ash. Above him, the storm raged on, a beautiful terror that mirrored the storm inside the warehouse. He was trapped in the circle of light, waiting for the shadow to move. Liam pulled a silver .357 Magnum bullet from his pocket, rolling the hollow point between his fingers. He spoke of a night when he had held this very bullet to his own temple, a moment of despair that had transformed into this cold, unwavering purpose. He loaded the revolver with a rhythmic click-clack that sounded like a clock ticking down. This wasn't God's work, he explained. It was a personal correction of the universe's mistakes. "While you think over your confession," Liam said, resting the pistol on his lap, "I'll pass the time with a story." He looked past Gabriel, his gaze fixed on a memory from 1984. He began to describe a high school romance, a tale of innocence that felt alien in this room of blood and steel. In the shadows behind him, the silhouette of a woman with long, blood-red hair seemed to shimmer, a ghost from a past that Liam was finally ready to burn.